looking at the agenda.
All right, at 6:30 on Tuesday, January 14th, a lovely day in Viroqua, 6 p.m., and we'll call the meeting to order for the Finance Personnel Committee. May we have roll call, please, Lori?
Crystal.
Here.
John.
Here.
Emma.
Here.
Todd Kirking.
Here.
And Todd Spaeth will not be here tonight.
All right. And item number 2 is first period for public comment. If we have anyone who'd like to address the group, now would be the time.
I think you're good, Chris.
All right. Item number 3 is payment of the bills. Take it away, Lori.
Okay, this one's kind of a hodgepodge because we're here at the end of the year. So we got some that's 2024, some that's 2025. So the original bills that were sent out in the packet are all 2025. So on page 1, you'll see that we're doing the December or January tax settlement for what was collected in December. So that's getting paid out. We got $1.1 million going out. On the under general property taxes, the real estate bill, that is for airport hangars. That's a little bit different this year.
Yeah.
Last year, it was all personal property.
Right.
What changed this year is that now we get one bill made out to the city of Viroqua, and now we have to bill each hangar owner for each of their portion that they consider now real estate versus personal property. So we're paying the bill in full, and the bills are already starting to come in for those payments, but it's a little confusing. They were used to seeing a personal property tax bill, and that personal property went away this year. So that is what the change is for that.
Okay.
Under tax over collection, it's going to look like a lot of money that we're paying back out, but we get payments like this is, in this case, it's Royal Bank. They sent us a check for about 15 to 20 parcels, and we had 2 people that had already paid their portion and didn't realize it was coming out of their escrow. So we have to deposit those checks and make a payment out to us and a payment back to the bank. So that's what that over collection. So it's kind of an in and out. You're going to see that we have the first installment for 2025 for our assessor. Social media archiving subscription, that is getting divvied up amongst the different departments this year. Let's see. And then we have the third and final payment for Dan Stallsberg's health retirement benefit. That's the $4,000. So that will be done this year. And then we also have the 2021 GEO bond that we have the interest that's due February 1st for that $9,050. So that takes care of the original bills. Is there any questions on those? Okay, then the additional bills that we sent out today, we did them in kind of a two stages because the end of the year we have to kind of do cash versus accrual. So we have a batch for 2024. You'll see in there that there's a retirement additional contribution that's kind of distributed out. What that is that anybody that has sick leave balance at the end of the year over the 1,040. I take, and whatever's over the 1,040, they get half of that paid into their retirement based on their wage. So that goes back into for the December payment to the Wisconsin retirement system. So I met that criteria this year. We had one of the dispatchers hit that criteria. We had some in water and sewer. We had some in public works and also in the police. So you're going to see that sprinkled throughout based on the amounts. We received the second quarter tax C payment from the DOT. So the payment to the city of Westby, their portion of it is in there. I know we've received quarter 3 this week, so I haven't found out yet exactly how much to be paying out to Westby, but that'll be coming in the next set of bills.
Did you want to point out the boiler system?
Yeah. Oh, which page was that? I think I probably just
Page
skipped
2,
over.
additional bills.
Oh, the payment to H&M Plumbing and Heating, the 33,500 is for the new boiler system. And I know that's an additional talk that we'll be talking on the next agenda item. So I don't know if you want to go into more detail now.
That's correct, but just
Or-
keep that number in mind once we get to the next agenda.
Okay. And then at the very bottom in TID 6, the Zettler Design Studio, that's the second invoice from them for the 16,310. That's covered by some of those donated funds coming in from tourism. So that's covered as well. So I've moved that from restricted funds into unrestricted to pay on that. So that's the 2024 bills. Any questions on those?
So yeah, just for clarification, those funds from tourism weren't part of the donations. That was, well, I guess technically she's counting them as donations, but it was the contribution from the Tourism Commission as part of the bathhouse project. So
yeah,
I think I clarified Lori's comment for no reason, because I think you're technically accurate in what it is.
If it makes it easier to understand, I don't care.
I don't think it did.
Then under 2025, we just had a payroll that happened today that ended up in there. We do pay every year. There is a payment to Gunderson for this, what they call an SAP membership fee. That is for if we have somebody that fails the drug and alcohol screening. We have, this is where we would send them for specific classes. So we're kind of required to have something like that. So we put that under the health insurance contingency expense this year. You'll also see then the drug and alcohol membership fee within on page 3 of there that we do, since we have members that are on that, we do split that also with utilities. And that's kind of the main things to point out, unless anybody else has more questions.
Got all my stuff. Anybody else? We're okay? Then we'd be looking for a motion.
Move we pass them on to council.
Todd, I'll second it.
Okay, may we have roll call, please?
John,
Aye.
Emma,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
and Crystal.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. We'll forward those on to the council tonight. Item number 4 is update on replacement of the library boilers.
Okay, everybody. We had an issue with library boilers. Obviously, it costs us money. I'd like to invite Trina and Sarah up to sort of walk us through the sequence of events that led to it. Maybe we start with Trina about how it came to your mind, and then Sarah was really, along with Tyrell, on the ground level of getting us to a solution. So we'll kind of have them walk through it. Crystal did receive information on this as the finance chair due to the need to spend money outside, that amount of money outside of budget and outside of committee approval is not how things should work unless it's an emergency, which is why we used our procurement policy to work with her. But we'll start from the beginning.
Well, the beginning is December 16th. I was contacted by staff at home. It was a Monday evening who said, I think something smells odd in the HVAC room. It's not an emergency. No alarms are going off, but heads up for Tuesday. And when I came in on Tuesday, the smell was bad. I mean, to me, it was natural gas is what I smelled. So I called Tyrell from the city who came over. And then he's like, I don't know, but something's wrong. And then my next call was to the fire department. And Chad came over with detectors to see if he could detect what this smell was. From there, Chad said something is wrong. And he contacted Madison Gas and Electric. 2 technicians came out. And then the next call was to H&N, the company out of Fenimore that has been the primary contact for dealing with the HVAC matters at the library. None of them said at the time that they felt anything was being detected on their units that was dangerous, but there was obviously something wrong. The next day on Wednesday, Chad came back, Madison Gas and Electric came back, and then H&N came back. And when H&N came, they said the carbon monoxide levels in your HVAC room are so out of control. This is extremely dangerous. Everything has to be shut down immediately. We cannot turn these back on. And so that's when everything started. In a nutshell, from there, we did not have heat until Friday. And we did everything we could to keep the building above 40 degrees because that was kind of that tricky point where we feared the pipes would freeze. The sprinkler system would go crazy and our birds would die. So that was our main goal, was to keep the building above 40, which we did. And Sarah and Tyrell were terrific to work with the contractors. And I'll let Sarah talk about that. Oh, right there.
Okay, so the challenge that we had was trying to figure out what exactly was happening. Clearly, there was some natural gas smells, but it took us quite a while to figure out and narrow down that it wasn't, it was bigger than we were hoping it was. So essentially, at first they were detecting it around like certain areas where it was venting or where there were valves, and so they thought, well, the valve needs to be replaced, which is relatively common for the boiler setup, but they kept doing these things and realizing that they weren't repairing the situation. And it came down to the idea that like the boiler should be maintained and cleaned on a regular basis. And because it hadn't been up to then, it was just so plugged that instead of like so what was happening is where it would like naturally allow a little bit of natural gas to be in the boiler and it would bring it in with a negative pressure, it wasn't happening. And so that was the key issue that came down to. And I will say that, I'm so glad you guys figured out that you smelled that smell, right? Like it was something that certainly like didn't seem as big initially, but it really was a big issue. And it was like really a catastrophic issue for both the boilers. So the reason they were replaced versus, doing some type of repair was that they said by the time we spend the investment in cleaning these current boilers and the time and the age of the boilers, it really made no financial sense to just clean them. We were going to be very close to the same cost. And so what ended up happening is they were replaced. I will say H&N did a great job of trying to find something as fast as possible, because that was part of the issue, was trying to figure out if we could get something in there right away. And again, the replacement actually was more cost effective and time effective than trying to clean the boilers that we had currently. They managed to get almost the exact replacement. They were a little bit different in terms of how it was piped, so that took them a little longer when they were putting it in, but they did not leave until it was done. And we did mention, like, you came here earlier this year, and why didn't you mention that this wasn't done? And they absolutely recognize that this needs to be done on a regular basis, and that should have been brought up. But it wasn't cleaned, and this is where we were. It was to the point where if we did something early in the season, it probably would have made it less of an emergency situation, but it wouldn't have stopped the issue that we had. So I don't know if you need any further, but that's kind of
I just had a couple questions. How old were those boilers? Because they were put in when the building was new, right?
right.
2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how about now a plan going forward? Do the new boilers have the same requirements for cleaning or?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was the first thing we said. Okay, well, these are going in, like, we're not doing this again. And so we are on a schedule already. Well, we will be, I'm assuming we've got contracts to sign with them, but they know for the heating system in the boilers that they will be on their regular maintenance schedule, which means like we don't even need to call them. They just know that they have to come before it starts up in the fall. And then we actually are going to be having them do the same thing here, because we have boilers here or furnaces or heaters here that we need to take care of in that same way. Same thing. And then so we also want to be careful with the air conditioning system, right, in reverse. And so we had talked to them earlier on about whether they could do it. And they said that the air conditioning system at the library is pretty complicated. And they suggested Johnson Controls be a contact. They felt like it was more than they wanted to take on. So Tyrell has been he said he called them. I don't know if he's talked to them to set something up yet. And then they came here to look to see if our air conditioning system here would be something they could handle. And they said yes, that it would be. So I'm expecting shortly. I did email them last week and said, hey, do you have something for us that we will be bringing forward, like an annual maintenance contract for both buildings and then this air conditioner for the cooling system.
Well done
stuff.
for handling a crisis and staying calm and carrying on. Thank you.
So, some of the additional things that we had talked about prior to working with Justin and Crystal for authorization to move forward and spend the money is, is that dollar amount legitimate? We felt like based on our understanding of that type of equipment, especially for commercial boiler units, we felt like that was very appropriate. We also felt that a little bit compelled that we hadn't sourced the equipment so quickly, and that the fact that they were able to get this in and get it done within a 5-week or a 5-day time period was pretty incredible. And so I think, from my angle and speaking with Justin and Crystal, we did all the due diligence we could to try to mitigate cost as much as possible while still addressing the situation as quickly as we could. So, yeah, and again, Tyrell and Sarah and Trina certainly put a lot of work into it. I think Trina was babysitting the building quite a bit, keeping the fireplace on, working with Western Technical College on leaving our doors open so we could grab some of the heat out of the link to help sort of mitigate the cold temperature in the building. So, so yeah, that's it. If anybody has any more questions, but again, that's our report on this situation and where we're at. It's certainly an unfunded thing. It was not in the budget in 2024, and so it will be, a hit against our cash position overall. Now, fortunately, coming out of 2025, again, the last time we looked at it in terms of end of year report, we felt like we were going to end up in a really solid position. So that should help matters overall with our end of year performance, but we'll have to wait to see what the audit checks out. And again, we're still doing bills tonight for 2024. And so until everything shakes out, we won't know for sure. But
Well, thank you, everybody. I know that wasn't a pleasant thing to go through, but I'm really proud of everybody for just getting it done. Okay. Item number 5 is second period for public comment. I don't know if we have anyone in the audience or online.
looks like you're good, Crystal.
Okay, then we'd be looking for a motion for adjournment.
This is Todd. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Todd.
Second.
Thank you, John. Motion for adjournment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.